Hi there, welcome back to another randomly chosen commander. And today, it's Ashnod the Uncaring, 2 blue, black and red for a 1/4 human artificer, let's get it right, with Death Touch. And whenever you activate the ability of an artificial creature that isn't a mana ability, if one or more permanents was sacrificed to activate it, you may copy that ability. You may choose new targets for the copy. This one comes back from Brothers War. It's a really quite interesting deck that I've had to try and build today. We need to make sure we had artifacts, had abilities, and we could double up on them basically. So, this is what we're doing today. So here we go. This is what today's deck looks like. So, at the beginning, we like having things we have to sacrifice. So, first one we have is Apprentice Necromancer. We have to sacrifice it itself to return the target creature from your graveyard to play, but because it's an activated ability, it'll double up and we can choose a second target to get another creature back, so it's all good. Enthusiastic Mechanauts here just help us cut down on some of the artifacts we've got coming up in their mana cost. Same with Ethereum Sculptor. Gone with the apprentices, so Loyal Apprentices here. This gives us a Thopter which we can use as sacrifice bait if we need to. Marionette Apprentice makes a lot of sense. We will be sacrificing artifacts, so it gives us a little bit of draining on each opponent as we go along. Mere Retriever, don't know why we have an advert there, has come up as well. When it dies, return another artifact card from our graveyard to our hand. And Saheeli, the Sun's Brilliance, we get a blue and a red for a token that's a copy of another target creature artifact, except it's an artifact in addition to its other types, and it gains haste. We can sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. So, if there's an artifact we really need to keep, we can just make a copy of it and then sack that off. Burnished Heart does a lot of nice things for us because we sacrifice this off. We get 4 lands for 6 mana, basically. Doom Necromancer, the other version of the Necromancer, we've got the classic 10th edition one here. You sacrifice it off and return target creature card from your graveyard to play. That's even, double up on that. Emery, the Lurker of the Lock, is also in, just to help us get those cards into our graveyard. And then we can return an artifact, we can choose an artifact card in our graveyard and play it if we want to. You know the score with Emery. Emery's one of the more powerful CDH decks as far as I'm aware still. So correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below, please. Enterprising Salvager pops in as well. Farad, that is, whenever a non-token artifact you control is put in the graveyard from the battlefield, create a colourless artifact token named Scrap. And then we get to just sack an artifact and do one of these. +1/+1, go to creature or rummage. So discard a card, then draw. Foundry Inspector cuts the cost of our artifacts down. We're sacking enough things off, and since we're in black and red, there's no point not having Mayhem Devil. Side, the Master Thopterist is also in to give us some more artifact Thopters that we can sack off and, pay 2, sack a couple of artifacts, draw 2. That works for me. Scrap Trawler, well, this or another artifact in the graveyard, return to your hand target artifact card in your graveyard with lesser mana value, so get a little bit of resemblance here. Yeah, we're playing black-red, so Prosperous here. No surprises there. Solemn Sim, when we sack it off to one of the abilities we need to with Ashnod, we get 2 card draws, as well as the basic land we get when it first enters play. Whirler Rogue gives us another couple of artifacts, and we can tap 2 untapped artifacts. Target creature can't be blocked this turn. No sacrifice here, so we don't get double up on the ability. Because we're not sacrificing anything. But having a couple of artifacts and making something unblockable could be the difference between winning and losing. Kuldoltha, Thordish Master, we sack off 3 artifacts. We get 2 artifact cards when Ashnod's in play from our search from our library onto the battlefield, which, it's a bit of a no-brainer, this one, really. Moonstone Eulogist, however, comes in from whatever it was, Bloomborough, if I remember correctly. Whenever a creature and opponent dies, you get a blood token, and whenever you sack an artifact, you get to put a +1/+1 counter on the Moonstone Eulogist and gain 1 life. One of your primary win conditions is here in that card. Ode Flitterfang is a bit more fun. At the beginning of each end step, if a creature died this turn, you get food, so it gives you an artifact, and then you sacrifice another food or an artifact to give Flitterfang +2/+2. But if you've got Ashnod in play, it's +4/+4. So you end up with a 7/8 flyer, or as many times as you can spend the 3 mana anyway. Marionette Master just lets you drain an opponent for life. Sharding Finks is just a bit of a laugh. I had a space left and I want to play something I hadn't played for a while, so the Sharding Finks went in. Artifact creatures, when they deal damage, we get a Thopter. Yeah, okay. we'll just create artifacts to sacrifice off. Fine by me. Inspired Sphinx is a little bit pricey, I'm aware of this, but enters the battlefield, we draw cards equal to the number of opponents we have. So even if we've got one left, it's 7 mana and a card draw for a 5/5 flyer, which isn't the greatest. But if we've got spare mana floating around, 3 and a blue to get another Thopter, yeah, we'll go with that. And Imskrik the Iron Eater, affinities for artifacts, so casting cost is going to come down significantly from 8. But when it enters the battlefield, we draw X and lose X. Where X is half the number of artifacts we control rounded down, and then we can sacrifice an artifact, and Imskir deals damage equal to the sacrificed artifact's mana value to any target. No tapping here. With Ashnod in play, double trigger when you sack for 3 mana and an artifact. Could be another way of winning the game. Few Planeswalkers, just for a bit of a change. Saheeli, because we could be casting a lot of non-creature spells, so it gives us more servos and more things to sacrifice off. Doretti, the Scrap Savant, is also in. Do a super rummage, and then we can sack an artifact if we do return an artifact card from our graveyard to the battlefield. So you can sack off one of the tokens you've created and get a better thing back if you need to. The emblem's quite good if we can get those as well, but it's unlikely. And then Tezzeret the Schemer, just to give us a little bit of Ethereum cells, or I don't know, whatever you want to call them, treasure tokens to a certain extent, but they're Ethereum cells with Tezzeret the Schemer. And then you get to do the -2 and give a target creature +X, -X until the end of turn, where X is our number of artifacts. And if we can get to the -7, which is possible, you get an emblem with the beginning of combat in your turn. Target artifact we control becomes an artifact creature with base power and toughness 5/5. I like that plan. That's cool. A little bit of spells, keep everything going. Vandal Blast to blow everyone else's artifacts up. Chaos Warp to deal with something we don't like. Jessica's Will, just so we can get the mana and the cards if we need to. Toxic Deluge, Damnation and Blasphemous Act round out our control package. Well, creature control anyway. And then we have a lot of artifacts to go through. We have the spell bombs in all the colours. So we've got Ether Spell Bomb to bounce a couple of creatures if we've got Ashnod in play. Elixir of Immortality gives us, I think it gives us 10 life, to be perfectly honest. I haven't quite checked this out, but I think it works like that. And obviously a double shuffle. I mean, everything's shuffled in off the first one resolving, but, Nile Spell Bombs here just to get rid of people's graveyards. Pyrite Spell Bomb, so we can just hopefully keep recurring it to do the extra bit of damage if we need to. Retrofitter Foundry makes an appearance to give us a way of creating artifacts if we haven't got any other way of doing it. Some Ramp with Soul Ring. Wayfarer's Bauble gives us 2 basic lands when we sack it off. Arcane Signet for the ramp. Dragon Spark Reactor. This one's fun. And when this one, another artifact enters the battlefield under our control, we get a charge counter on it, and then we can pay for and sack it, and it deals damage equal to the number of charge counters on it to one target player, and that much damage up to one target creature. Might be a way of finishing someone off if we get there later in the game. We have all 3 medallions in, so the jet one's here. We'll get to the others. Legion Extruder is also in. This one's a bit more fun. Comes into play, you shock something. That's fine. 2 mana for a shock. Not great, but I'll cope with it. But pay 2 and sack it, and another artifact. Pay 2, tap this, and sacrifice another artifact. We get a Golem. With Ashnod in play, we get 2 3/3s. Like that plan. If we need to turn anything that we own into an artifact to sacrifice off, Liquid Metal Talks in. Mindstone gives us some more ramp and a card draw. Again, doubled up once we've got Ashnod in play. Mnemonic Sphere, again, sacrifice it, we draw 2. Sacrifice it with Ashnod in play, draw 4. Nice. Only Cult Anvil had to be in. Whenever one or more artifacts you control leave the battlefield during our turn, create a colourless artifact creature token. Triggers once, but it does give us a trigger. But we can sacrifice an artifact to do 1 damage to each opponent. We gain a life. Not the worst plan in the world. Ruby, Sapphire, jump through them. Tarian's Journal doubles up to our 38th land. This deck is a little bit land reliant to work properly, but we can sacrifice an artifact to a creature and draw a card and activate this as a sorcery. So okay, but then if we get to the point where we've got nothing in hand and this in play, we can just discard nothing and transform it, and we get the Tomb of Alcazots. You may cast a creature spell from your graveyard this turn. It comes in with a finality counter and it's a vampire. So different, and we can pay black, tap it for black, so I'm happy with this. Being a bit cheesy, I don't play many extra turn spells in any of my decks, but Time Stiff's too good not to have in this deck. Commander Sphere for some more ramp. Cursed Mirror comes into play, become a copy of any creature on the battlefield until the end of turn, except it has haste. that's okay, especially if your opponent's got a good creature you want to copy and just smack them over the head with. So it kind of works, but the ramp's nice. World Walker Helm comes in as well. If you create one or more artifact tokens, create those tokens plus an additional map token. And then you create a token that's a copy of a target artifact token you control for 2 mana and a tap. Again, not something you can trigger, but the extra map tokens could really help us out to give us the artifacts to sacrifice. Crystal Skull, Izu Spyglass, Assassin's Creed. Look at the top card of your library anytime. We can play historic lands and cast historic spells from the top of our library. Historic spells, legendaries, artifacts, sagas. So all of the ones, if we've got this in play, we can cast off the top. And finally, Detective Satchel from Murders at Karloff Manor. We get to investigate twice and then tap it to create a colourless 1/1 Thopter artifact creature token with flying. Activate it only if we're sacrificing an artifact this turn. And since we are sacrificing artifacts, we should be able to carry on making Thopters off this quite regularly. A few enchantments to help us out. Artificer class, just to cut the cost of our first artifact spell down every time. And then level 2, level 3 is really nice for us. Clan Crafter comes in from Battle at Baldur's Gate as one of the background enchantments, which really pairs nicely with Ashnod. Pay 2 gives Ashnod the ability to pay 2, sack an artifact, put a +1/+1 counter on it, and then draw a Kiri card. So 1/4 goes to 2/5, goes to 3/6, etc. Makes Ashnod a little bit harder to kill eventually with a bit of luck. Efficient construction. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, you get Thopter and Thopter Spy Network. Beginning of your upkeep, as long as we've got an artifact, we get another Thopter. And whenever one or more artifact creatures you control deal combat damage, we draw a card. So we have got a lot of ways of drawing a card, which does make the Elixir of Immortality a bit more important in this deck than it is normally, due to the card draw we could be triggering. Lands, well, there's all the blue, black and red lands you could expect to see. Including sort of the new ones coming from Duskspawn. Archway of Innovation comes in from Modern Horizons 3. The next spell you cast this turn has Improvise, so gives you a way to get some of your big stuff played if you need to. We got a little bit of Search with Evolving Wilds, but everything else and a couple of the basics all the way through the deck. And yes, we have got Reliquary Tower and Temple of the False God to help us get there. We have kind of been a bit cheeky by playing all the sack lands to make sure we sort our mana out, because it is quite important. They are all here, even the ones, just remember, not something I do that often, but in this deck, I think you need to do it because you've got Xander's Lounge. You need this out as soon as possible. And that's it. That's my take on Ashnod the Uncaring. It's definitely a fun random one that's been picked out today. I'm quite happy with it. I'm going to have a lot of fun playing this on the last stream this week before Christmas, which will be either Tuesday or Thursday night this week. This should be up on Monday or late Sunday, depending where you are in the world. Yeah, I think it's going to be a fun one to try and play. I did a little bit of test playing, just me versus myself, and it worked okay. And we did get there quite quickly, so I'm hoping you enjoy it. But for now, that's it. Leave me anything in the comments you think I've missed out. Let's try and get my tongue untied, shall we? And we can take it from there. And then if we need to upgrade as we go along during the course of the streams this week, we will do. But for now, hit the subscribe button if you can. Really appreciate it. There's 569 of us now, so thank you to the people who've subscribed in the last week. I really do appreciate it. It gets me a little bit closer to that magic 1,000 number. If you want to see me play these on stream, come and give me a follow over on Twitch. There's a link down below. There's 259 followers over there. I've lost 1 or 2 for the last week or so, but oh well, it happens. But all help is greatly received over there. But for now, thanks for watching, take care, and I'll be back tomorrow with another random one, which is really random for tomorrow. So for now, take care, see you soon, bye.